Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut, and today I'm going to talk about the new Stellaris DLC, Plantoids. That is the cosmetic DLC, and the first one to be released for Stellaris. I'm going to discuss whether it is worth it, whether there are any better alternatives to it if you don't have the money for it, and whether it adds any significant gameplay elements. Spoiler warning, it doesn't. So, the TLDR of this video, if you don't want to watch the entire thing, is essentially, I think it's overpriced. Even if we compare it to other DLCs for other Paradox Grand Strategy games, this one does have a higher production value, it is harder to make, but is still at $8 for what is, to put it grossly over, basically to grossly oversimplify the entire situation, it is $8 for a bunch of JPEGs. Essentially, and ships. A new type of ships. So, I think $8 for this is way too much, and you should only pick it up if it's on sale. I think it's not worth it, and it doesn't add anything meaningful. You're not even, like 70% of the time, you're not even going to notice you have the DLC when you're actually playing. And that's best case scenario if you're actually playing as one of the Plantoids. If not, then you're going to notice it once or twice in the entire duration of the campaign. So, that said, now let's get into a bit of an in-depth review of this DLC. I'm not showing you footage of the DLC, by the way, as I haven't bought it, for reasons that I've kind of already explained and will explain some more in the future. Instead, I'm showing you a mod right now. This is the Warhammer 40k Cosmetics mod. I will use this mod to make a good point later on in the video, but for now, let me just say that this mod adds not as much as the DLC. Obviously, it doesn't add any new ships. The name list of all the planets and stuff are a little bit on the iffy side. I don't like the fact that all the civilians are actually different branches of the military. Apart from this one, but there's too much. There's Imperial Guard everywhere and on the planets and stuff. I don't like it. I prefer if these were actual civilians. But I do have a few minor complaints about the mod. However, as a whole, as a cosmetics mod and as one that came out very early, relatively speaking, it's great. And very importantly, it's free. Yeah. So, what does the Plantoid DLC actually contain? As I said, a bunch of JPEGs and ships. So, the new, how do I call it, ruler design? It's not a ruler designer, it's a race designer, right? The new race designer thing is okay at best. The stuff that they put in there, it's essentially plants that, you get, your picture is basically that. Okay, it's nothing spectacular. The main feature of that, the most exciting feature for me at least, is the... I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by all this tech. Is the ships. The ships look gorgeous, okay? The ships look amazing. I love the way that the ships look. So, there's that. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. There we go. However, to pay $8 for something like that is a tad absurd, I'm afraid. And let's take a look at the other DLCs that came out, not for Stellaris, but for games similar to this one, as in other Paradox Grand Strategy games. A lot of them were basically expansions, and these were priced at various various ranges. And yes, it is fair to pay $15, $20 for an expansion that will add, for example, in Stellaris, it would add, again, purely hypothetically, a espionage system, more diplomatic options, AI improvements. I suppose that would come with a patch, wouldn't it? That would add, I don't know, a couple of new techs, new weapons, maybe new techs just for the ships and guns and stuff like that, new traits for the races, and the stuff that actually expands the gameplay. It will be completely fine to pay, $15 or $20 for that kind of DLC. The problem is you're asking $8 for essentially nothing no meat in the game, right? No meat in the gameplay. Apologies to the vegans and vegetarians, just a figure of speech, right? You're not adding any meat to the gameplay. You're just adding... I don't even want to call it flair or flavor. It's just, a couple of extra pictures, and it is a bit of an oversimplification of it, but I just feel like it's not worth the price. Now, again, if you get it on sale, absolutely. As a matter of fact, a acquaintance of mine who used to make YouTube videos for a long period of time and then stopped over 2 years and now is making YouTube videos again. It's a complicated situation. Long story short, his stance on the entire thing is buy DLCs for games like this only if they're 50% off or 75% off on Steam. Which is entirely fine. No, it's his prerogative, it's what he thinks, and for this particular instance, I would recommend it as well. Now, speaking of DLC in Paradox games, yes, as I said, this is the most complicated one to make. But it's not that complicated. I mean, here we have a mod that adds Warhammer stuff into the game. Lots of Warhammer stuff, and actually, hold on, let me show you. So, this is the Imperium of Man. The race is called Adeptus Astartes, which doesn't exactly make sense, because it's mostly Imperials, and the Adeptus Astartes are just Marines, and again, it's not the best, but it's the closest we have to a Warhammer mod, so, again, I imagine this will get improved a lot later on down the line. But we also have this. Also part of the same mod. We also have this. Yeah. They added pretty much every major faction in Warhammer. You get my point? It's not that difficult to add pictures of leaders. Ships, again, and the Eldar, right, yeah. Again, doing ships is an entirely different thing, but still, here's the Inquisition, actually, look at this. If they were to add, in this DLC, if this DLC had traits, stuff like more tech, more flavor events, maybe more, I don't know, more features like this, more, I don't know, expanded anything, really. If they can expand the race creator and the starting thing, so maybe you could start as a empire that instead of one planet has 2 planets already, right? Maybe in the same solar system, they're both, planets, and they're both settled, and you start from there, but you take major penalties in some other aspects. Maybe take 2 points away for the traits that you can pick. Stuff like that. That gives you an early game bonus. I don't know, maybe that doesn't work, maybe it does. I'm just throwing ideas there. If they added something like that, something that expands the actual gameplay, then I would have no problem paying $8 to $10 for this DLC, as it would add tangible, meaningful content. Like this, it's a bit, I don't know, iffy. But let's entertain the notion of for a second of just DLC in general in Paradox games. I'm going to quote Arch Warhammer here, a fairly popular YouTuber. Does Warhammer stuff, but he well, obviously it's in the name, but he also talked a little bit about Paradox games and stuff like that. So, to quote him, the problem, well, not necessarily the problem, but the thing with Paradox games is they make great games. Arguably the best grand strategy games. And so, in fact, I would say the best grand strategy games right now, if you're looking for depth and a lot of management and a lot of, just deep mechanics there that you need to really think through, right? The problem is, unfortunately, that they make a good base, like a very, very good base, and then they add DLC on top of it. Think of it as like a cake. You have the base, which is good, but you need the filling, another layer of sponge, the chocolate, the icing, the frosting, the cherry on top, the everything. That's all DLC, right? The base game is good. The base game is great. But to truly make it stunning and magnificent, they need DLC, and they put in DLC. which is a rising trend nowadays, and in the instance of Paradox, I don't think it's actually that bad. I know there is a running joke saying, yep, you know it's a Paradox game if the first DLC is $10 and it's just cosmetic. To be fair, they add a lot more content and a lot more justified DLCs than the vast majority of other developing companies and developers. So, credit where credit is due. However, I think in this one in particular, they've overdone it a bit. Not overdone it, maybe. How do I put this? They've priced it too high, I think. And whilst it's not, disastrous, you can just not buy the DLC, it is... the more cynical of us would be slightly worried about the direction this is heading in. Especially with the new CK2 DLC, though that's a different story entirely, and besides, CK2 is a fairly complete game with tons of content and DLC put into it already, so a story for another time entirely. However, I digress. If you take a look at Paradox games over the years, they've done, like I said, the entire cake analogy, and the DLCs were good. However... yeah, they just asked me to declare war on myself. Awkward. Like I was saying, however, the fact that this is the first DLC and it's an overpriced cosmetic DLC that a lot of people aren't going to buy is maybe a little bit of a problem. And now, what I'm hoping for, obviously, is more content in the future. This seems to be the consensus. Most people want this. They want more content in the future, which makes sense. More meaningful gameplay content, as I said. I'm hoping that we get this instead of more cosmetic DLC, in spite of what I initially said in one of my videos. That is that I would gladly pay for DLC that is purely cosmetic. I would, at this point, gladly pay for DLC that's just races and ships. And I would... just not $8 for something that doesn't add gameplay. And it's okay to just get on a production line and just stamp out as much DLC as you can that's purely cosmetic, and then maybe, I don't know, a couple of extra government types or something like that. It's okay to do that, but as long as the base game is good. And it is in this case, but it needs more. It needs to get better, and there is so much potential here that I think they should focus on that rather than selling us $8 flowers, essentially. So, back to this mod that I'm playing here. Here's the thing. It's almost... well, it's not worth as much, and it's not as good as the DLC. Obviously, this is official Paradox stuff. A mod is... I'm not going to say never going to be that good. It can, but this one in particular isn't, as good. Fair enough. Okay, I think we all are aware of this. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, right? I'm so distracted by this thing. It will get better, this mod. It will get ironed out more in the future. But it added stuff. It added cosmetics. Tons of cosmetics. Despite its, initial problems. It added tons of cosmetics. They are yet to add more traits and more, what I mentioned, more gameplay, stuff like that. I actually added something into the game. Let me show you here for a quick second. See that? I added that. Well, not me personally, I had help, and it was already an existing mod. I just sort of tweaked it a little bit with some people from Reddit and stuff like that. It was complicated, but essentially we tweaked it around a little bit from an already pre-existing mod, and we implemented it here, and so on and so forth. It's a bit of a complicated situation. The thing is, we added a new trait. It took us a while to get, realize where all the game files are, realize how to code a mod and stuff like that, because it's different from EU4. I used to make mods for EU4. It was, I think, a bit simpler back then. Now it's a bit of it's more of a complicated game, and you have to do more stuff to actually get it in there. But anyways, we got that in, and if a bunch of modders sitting in their basement, office, home, whatever, can add traits in a few hours, so can Paradox, and you know, not ask us to pay $8 for them. Again, more traits and more stuff like that. I would pay for that in a DLC, but this is just not worth it. And I think it's a wrong move from Paradox. I really think it's a wrong thing to do, to release this as the first DLC. I think they should have waited a bit more, leave this thing sort of on hold, and add something maybe minor into the game, maybe, I don't know, a minor DLC for another mechanic or something like that. I would be willing to accept that, and then the Plantoid DLC, because ultimately, you know, despite whether I like it or not, there are people that are die-hard fans of Stellaris and will buy it, and that's completely fine. It's just that I think they should put something out there that's going to appeal to a lot more people, and, you know, add something meaningful to pretty much every game that you play. Sorry. Every game that you play, rather than just the ones where you're playing as the DLC nation, or, you know, occasionally meet them maybe on the other side of the galaxy and pretty much never talk to them again, right? Anyways, there is just one more aspect of the mod I would like to tell you about. Well, not the mod, sorry, the DLC that I would like to tell you about. Actually, as I was making this video, I realized someone posted that Stellaris is on sale right now, 20% off. Kind of ironic. The DLC is not 20% off. It's, you know, it's new DLC, so they won't put it on sale just yet. Here's the thing. This DLC is worth $8. Right now, Stellaris is worth, I think, $30? It was $40 yesterday. I think it's like 20% off. It's like 30-something, right? One race. What plant-based? Flowers. $8 for flowers. What does that tell us about the value of the rest of the game compared to the DLC? And I know that's not how you're supposed to look at it. Yes, but hear me out. $8 for one race, $30 right now, again on sale. Let's say $40 when it's not on sale. For the entire game, for everything, for actually playing the game, for a bunch of other races, for multiplayer, for all of this, 40, and then 8 for a bunch of JPEGs. I know that's not exactly how the DLC math works, and it shouldn't, and yes, fair enough, but just think about that for a second. Does that not raise some red flags, so to say? Yeah, there is something seriously wrong with that, isn't there? Anyways, but like I said, there is an alternative. There will be alternatives. This mod, for example, as I said, and there are other mods as well. There are even mods that add more traits, I believe. The more perks or more traits mod, I think it's called. I haven't exactly looked into it yet, but I know it's a mod that adds, as stated, adds more traits for the race designer, which is a great thing, isn't it? It really is, and well, yeah, but basically that's about it, isn't it? Anyways, so ultimately, what do I think of this entire? I guess it was a bit of a drama situation around it, wasn't it? It's been causing a bit of a fuzz, but you know, TLDR. What do I think of it? Overpriced, unfortunately. Don't get it unless it's on sale, you know, or do, it's your money. But, you know, my recommendation and what I'm going to do is not going to get it until it goes on sale for like 50% off or more. So, that's basically it, and that's basically what I think about this. So, if you agree, if you don't agree, tell me down in the comments below. Tell me also what you think about the entire situation, and what do you hope to see in the future from Paradox and from the DLCs for this particular game. My name is Majuggernaut. Please remember to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care, and bye-bye. Ooh, and also a bit of shameless self-promotion. If you want to, you can check out my co-op Let's Play in the Stellaris with a good friend of mine, Commanderlicious. We're doing a Mass Effect-inspired nation called the Systems Alliance, and a flock of birds in space, basically. I don't quite understand him. But yes, Mass Effect Nation I was going to say in Mass Effect Nation in Stellaris. Should be a pretty fun Let's Play. I've been getting some really, really good feedback off of it, so you can check that out if you want to. Anyways, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.